Hey friends, I'm Paul. This is Circular Motion, and you're watching the Hot Wax Half Hour. Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Hot Wax Half Hour. I hope you're all fitting well and surviving what hopefully will be the tail end of this pandemic. Things are going good here. I've been busy job hunting and listening to records. So without much further ado, because we've got 10 records to get through and only half an hour to do it in, I'm going to crack on. So let's have a look. First of all, I'm going to go through what I've been listening to in the last week or so. A couple of, well, not really a couple of different things. It's pretty much a very similar vein, all in all. But I'm going to start with this. So Roger Taylor, Queen's drummer. This was his second solo outing, but his first solo album. Obviously, his first solo outing was the 45 that I showed you a couple of weeks back, which was, really good. Didn't do much in the charts, and neither did this, truth be told. But it is a cracking album. And this was back in the day before the internet, and I didn't even know this had been released. I just happened to be in Woolworths one day and looking in the cut-out bins, and there was this for £1.50, which was just, wow, Roger Taylor, £1.50, I'm going to buy that. And yeah, it's a cracking album. This is an original pressing. It's a little bit damaged, as you can see there. It's been with me since 1981, 1982, I would say. You can see there, it's got this fantastic sort of cover where they're all supposed to be different Pulp Fiction sort of sci-fi magazines or comics, whatever, with anagrams of his name on: Ogre T. Rayler, Roger Taylor, Regola Troy, and each one of them represents one of the songs on the album, and it is a solid album in my opinion. Some cracking tracks, actually. He followed this up, he kind of bookended his solo career, although hopefully that wasn't the end of it, because that was an awful album to go out with, but he bookended it with an album called Fun on Earth, which was a complete misnomer because the album was anything but fun. This is a solid rock and roll album. There's some great tracks, very accessible, I think, very commercial. No Violins, Laugh or Cry, Future Management was a single. Let's Get Crazy is phenomenal. My Country, Good Times Are Now, another great track. Magic Is Loose, the quirky interlude in Constantinople, the incredibly heavy Airheads, and the close of Fun in Space, which is a really kind of hypnotic, long drawn out sort of sit down and get stoned to, if you're into that kind of thing, track. So yeah, fully recommend this album. Produced by Roger and Dave Richards, I believe, his longtime sort of collaborator. On the back there, it's got him reading Creepy magazine, and I remember this advert here for Battlestar Galactica flight jackets. I'm that old, and that's from the original Galactica, not the pretty good reimagining. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to stick with Mr. Taylor, and this is his follow-up solo album, Strange Frontier. This got a little bit more airplay. Just showing you all the insides, the ins and outs. Again, this is another original. I bought this when it came out and I've had it ever since. I'm going to try, I've just played it a couple of days ago and it was a little bit crackly, so I'm going to give it a bit of a clean with the good old tried and trusted method that I showed you in my last video. But yeah, again, Roger Taylor and Dave Richards and Mac helped produce this one as well. Engineered by Dave Richards and Mac. Dave Richards wrote a couple of tracks on this album. He covers a couple of tracks, Roger Taylor. Most notably, he does a cracking version of Racing in the Streets by Bruce Springsteen, and a very passable version of Masters of War by the mighty Bob Dylan. And he's got Rick Parfitt guesting. They co-write a track called It's an Illusion, which is a nice solid down the line sort of rock track, well worth checking out if you ever get the chance. So yeah, if you can hear, I think Roger Taylor enlisted John Deacon on bass, definitely on one track, if not two or three, but he plays bass on It's an Illusion, I believe, and you can hear Freddie Mercury's vocals just in the background on the closing of the track I Cry For You. So yeah, if you're a Queen fan, it's an album that you really should have. After that, his solo output gets a bit hit and miss. Obviously, he formed a cross and did a few bits and bobs, and then he brought out a couple of more solo albums. But for me, the first two are the strongest of the set. And sticking on a theme there, Queen Sheer Heart Attack. I've been giving this a good spin lately. This is probably one of my favourite Queen albums. I've got the original, but I've been playing the reissue, trying to get to grips with it. Now this is a 2011 reissue, and I only just realised today, looking through Discogs just to get a bit more info on it, that it's actually a half-speed, Abbey Road half-speed mastered copy. So originally it was Robert Ludwig, and he mastered it, and then it's been half-speed remastered at Abbey Road by Miles Showell, who did the pretty decent version of Brothers in Arms. If you've watched my last, I think it was in my last video I had it on. So yeah, I mean this album is an absolute belter. Brighton Rock, Killer Queen, Tenement Fun Stuff, Flick of the Wrist. There's not a bad track on here, to be fair. Not a bad track. I love it from start to finish. It's an album that demands you play it from start to finish, that you don't just cherry pick tracks out of it. Probably one of the real standouts is Stone Cold Crazy, which was kind of like speed metal before speed metal became a thing, and Bring Back That Leroy Brown, which is just phenomenal. There is, if you get the CD deluxe edition from around this time, there is an a cappella version of that track on there, and it is just awesome. This, as pressings go, isn't great. All the reissues in 2011 were all culled from digital sources and the bits of tape that they still had, jammed into Pro Tools, and they tried to get like the best version, pretty much like the box set, if you remember that I reviewed a few months back. And I don't know, it's very hit and miss. Brighton Rock should really kick your ass, and it doesn't. It's quite lackluster, it's quite underwhelming. But then you go into Killer Queen, which just blows you away. There's such a disparity between the tracks on this album that, you know, it's, I don't know, you wonder how it passed muster with Brian and Roger, but apparently they signed off on all of this. So, but you know, it's great. Cracking album cover. I remember when I got this and just thinking, wow, you know, it's Freddie Mercury going on safari. They just all look pretty mental. Apparently Freddie Mercury had them all smear themselves in Vaseline and get sprayed with water to kind of get that sweaty look about them. But yeah, it's a great album. It really is a great album, and it stands the test of time. To me, it was before they kind of got a little bit too overindulgent, because the next couple of albums were really good albums, but they weren't quite as raw. This had a lot of overdubs on it, a lot of production on it, but it still had quite a raw feel to it. And they didn't quite capture that again until sort of News of the World Jazz, and then they left it behind again after that. But yeah, that's that. Moving on, sticking with the 80s, another classic, Kiss, Unmasked. This is a much maligned album. This came out hot on the heels of Dynasty, which at that time, you know, they were really suffering, I think, popularity-wise. Dynasty had put a bit of a nail in their coffin, or Dynasty, whatever, however you want to produce it, put a bit of a nail in their coffin, and then they released this kind of Euro pop album, which I love. I'm not ashamed of that. It's got some brilliant tracks on it. What's interesting is that there's a track listing on the back that doesn't quite match up with what's on the actual records, and this is an original pressing. So this was out in 1980, and I got this a little bit later than that, but it is an original. So get this out here. So we kick off with Is That You? Whereas we say that it's easy as it seems there, and that As Easy as It Seems is actually on the second side. But you know, Is That You is a nice sort of solid rock track. Shandy was their single, which is decent. I like it. It's not, you know, it's a bit cheesy seeing Gene Simmons, who's supposed to be, you know, the epitome of evil, stood there enjoying, you know, love and flowers and things. But it's great, you know. I found out what makes the world go round. Great. She's So European. Talk to Me. Torpedo Girl is just like silly, two sides of the coin, but Torpedo Girl's a nice, silly, fun rock and roll track. Ace Frehley, I believe, wrote that. You're All That I Want. I think this was quite interesting because although it doesn't say as much, Peter Criss was out of the band at this point, and they had Anton Fig on duty behind the skins, doing a pretty decent job too. And I'm not sure whether Bob Kulick actually stood in and played a lot of the guitar on here as well. I don't think Ace Frehley had a lot to do with this, although he did write Talk to Me and Torpedo Girl. Does he get any others? No, that was it. And Vinnie Poncius seems to have been a big collaborator with all of the band on a lot of the tracks here. But yeah, it is a great album, I think, personally. So yeah, there we go. And finally, for tracks that I have been listening to quite heavily, this absolute behemoth, Ghost Meliora. Massive Ghost fan. This album was, you can hear my birds in the background there, they're tweeting away. Yeah, this album was the album that kind of got me back into music back in 2015, and also turned me on to Ghost. I saw them on the front page of bravewords.com and thought, oh, they look interesting, I'll give them a go. Went out and I bought this album on CD at the time and was like, wow, that is pretty epic. And then I've gone and finally sort of caught up with this, and what a package. I mean, this was just 20 quid, so that's the inner sleeve. I've got it in a different sleeve there, and then you get this fantastic booklet which has track list in there, but then it's got some great illustrations by a man whose name I cannot remember, but I will get it for you. And they illustrate all the different tracks. I'm just going to pause it there and shut my birds up. Bear with me. And I'm back. So yeah, where were we? We were looking at, so there's a picture of Papa and the crew. Of course, that was Papa Emeritus III, who has since been replaced by Cardinal Copia, who has now become Papa IV. So I mean, these illustrations are absolutely phenomenal, and I've actually got a limited edition signed by the band set of poster prints, art prints, all the same size, exactly the same sort of thing, but they're all individual lithographs. And it's sleeve artwork is by, I can't read it, it's too small, but he sounds like he's a Polish guy by the looks of it, but he's a phenomenal artist. This album is just absolutely fantastic. Highs and lows, Spirit, Pinnacle to the Pit, down to the sort of more quiet, moody Cerise, down to Spocksonat, which means Ghost Sonnet, I think, in Swedish, which is a nice instrumental track, which leads nicely into the excellent ballad He Is. Mummy Dust, which is all about consumerism, Majesty, Devil Church, Absolution, and rounded off by Deus in Absentia. And this album it's one of their best, I think. I think it's still better than their last album, Prequel. That is a good album, but this for me is their finest hour. This is their Night at the Opera, so check it out if you get the chance. This is an original pressing, and that's it really. It's well worth investing in if you get the chance. So that's that. So what else have I been listening to? Well, I've been listening to these, but these are all relatively new. These are all part of my vinyl haul for this week, and I've got 5 to show you, so I shall just get them and I'll be right back. Hey, didn't take long, did it? So here's a surprise. Strange Frontier again. So this, as you can no doubt guess, is a Japanese pressing of Roger Taylor's second solo album. I got this off eBay. I got it for about 25 quid plus postage. It does have a price sticker on the back of this thing that says 15 quid. It's about 20 on Discogs, but I don't care because I really like it. It's a very nice, clean copy, but it's very different to the original. I mean, obviously, it's got your nice little Obi strip down there. The outside artwork. Let me get the other one. So as you will see, there's not much in terms of difference in that respect. Where it does differ is you get the nice little sleeve or the artwork from the inside of the original UK pressing. However, as you can see, it's more of a fold out thing. And on the inside, whoop, everything's written in Japanese there. It does say Roger Taylor and Strange Frontier, but that's part of it. And then the other difference, so I'll show you the disc itself. So as you can see, it's got a black label with Roger Taylor written on it. Quite nice. And for some reason I was convinced that actually had some graphics on it, but I think that might be the 12-inch single. And this one is just plain normal regular EMI label. And does it compare? Yeah, it does. It's different, and I can't quite pinpoint why. I listened to it again before I started recording just to kind of see. It is different. I wouldn't say it's either better or worse. There's just something about it that's quite elusive that I can't put my finger on that just sets it apart a little bit from that one, but in neither a good way nor a bad way. It is just different. I don't think it's as loud as the UK or the European release, the Western release, but there's more definition there. It's hard to explain, but if you ever get the chance to pick one of these up, you know, it is worth it. It is a cracking album. You won't be disappointed. On the back here, don't know if you can see, but we've got The Works Getting Pimped. We've got Brian May's Starfleet EP being pimped, and then Queen's Greatest Hits being pimped. And that looks like it might be the video, actually, Queen Greatest Flicks, because it's in that little kind of format there. But yeah, cracking. Absolutely cracking. So it's well worth if you get a chance. But like I said, I got this on eBay. I was very lucky. It is in absolutely immaculate condition. And obviously those of you that have shopped on eBay know that can go either way. But I like to ask a lot of questions these days to make sure I don't get my eyes taken out. So next, what do we have? We have Time to Bang the Head That Does Not Bang. Motorhead. No Sleep Till Hammersmith. Wow, I got this at my favourite record shop in the town here for a tenner. It had 2 copies. One was 10, one was 15. I don't know why that is, but I picked up the 10 quid one. I looked at them both. There's no discernible difference between them at the time. I got it home, checked it out. It seems to be legit, genuine, sort of not first pressing, but an original release rather than a reissue. And yeah, what an album, what an absolute belter. I'd forgotten how good this album is. You know, like I said with Meliora, Light and Shade, there's no Light and Shade on this. It starts off with Ace of Spades and Hands to Your Ass, and then keeps going right the way through with Motorhead on the end of side 2. And again, you know, Ace of Spades, the album sounds way better than it has any right to, because it's Motorhead and they turn everything up way loud. And I don't know if you've ever been to a Motorhead gig, but it is just intense from a noise point of view. And so to say that they got such a decent recording is pretty phenomenal. Ace of Spades, Stay Clean, Metropolis, The Hammer, Iron Horse, No Class. Side 2, we've got Overkill, We Are the Road Crew, brilliant. Capricorn, Bomber and Motorhead, absolutely brilliant. You know, it's still got like the original sleeve with pictures of Motorhead and Girl School and other assorted lunatics on there. Check it out. Seriously, dedicated to all the people who have travelled with, drunk with, fought with and screwed with us on the roads of England and Europe for 5 years. And this is only volume 1. Exclamation marks. Thanks to everyone who came to see us. Thanks to Smirnoff and Carlsberg. Without them, lots of this would have been coherent. Yeah, great stuff. You can kind of see where Metallica got their penchant for mentioning alcohol in their early liner notes. So yeah, on the bronze label, and it is beautiful, a thing of beauty, and I got it for a tenner, and just awesome. Moving on. This is one that I've already got. So this is Rush, Farewell to Kings. This is an original copy from what I can gather on Discogs. I got this for £5. I mean, the cover's a little bit damaged. It's got this sticker over here. The record itself is pretty much immaculate. There is a scratch on one side, but when I looked at it, it didn't look very deep. But when I've played it, it's not there. You don't notice it, so it is just very superficial. There are a couple of like little cup stains on there. You can kind of see if I tilt it in the light. So yeah, the cover's not in the best condition, but I'm not bothered. It sounds good. I don't even know really why I bought it. I think it was because it was $4.99 and I'm a Yorkshireman and I can't pass up a bargain, because I've already got it. I bought the Direct Metal Master reissue, which is hard to beat, really. And when I bought this, I didn't actually expect this to sound any better than that, and it doesn't, I'll be honest with you. But, I don't know, it's just nice to have an old one, an original one, sort of, in my collection. So, yeah, I mean, as records go, it's probably, as Rush records go, it's one of the better ones. I think Farewell to Kings is an excellent track, very catchy title. Xanadu is just, as you know, if you're a Rush fan, it's brilliant. Closer to the Heart is another phenomenal song. Cinderella Man, brilliant. Then Madrigal, and most definitely Cygnus X1. Cygnus X1 is probably the most challenging part of the album, if I'm honest. A bit like Cygnus on Hammersmith, that can be a challenging listen. However, one thing that you can generally guarantee with most of Rush's early releases is that they always sound really good. Even the later stuff, when they started to get a little bit more synth heavy, it still sounds really good. But this is, these guys are, still riding high here. Geddy's voice is absolutely phenomenal. Neil's playing is really, really good. And obviously Alex Lifeson is Alex Lifeson. He doesn't need me to pimp him, but if you've never heard this album before, is it a great jumping in point for Rush? Yeah, maybe I would probably go with something like 2112, or even something a little bit later like Moving Pictures or Permanent Waves. But it is still something that, if you like Rush, it's still an album to have, if only for Xanadu and Closer to the Heart, two great tracks. So yeah, £5. How could I pass that up? Really? And moving on. Ghost. This is something that I've been trying to get hold of for a while, actually, and I managed to catch up with. I think I got it on eBay, but it was a brand new copy, and I paid through the arse for it. But it's not a reissue, from what I can gather. It's an original pressing, and it's a cracking. So they did Meliora. I mean, the thing about Ghost is they tour the absolute shit out of everything that they do. So they did Meliora. They did a few dates over here, but they absolutely hammered it over in America. And then they wanted to go around again, but they needed an excuse to do that. So they released Square Hammer, which is an excellent track, and I believe was featured in Metal Hammer or Loudwire's Songs of the Decade. It was like, it was up in the top, if not the top 5, it was #1 or something like that. But it featured really highly, and it is a great track. It does sound very similar to, I can't remember if it was Flow Rider or some other kind of R&B artists, similar, not similar track, but a track with a similar melody. That anyway, one original track. The rest of them are all covers. Nocturnal Me, which Echo and the Bunnymen, if I'm not mistaken, I believe, which was by Simian Mobile Disco, a band I've never heard of before. Missionary Man, which is by the Eurythmics, and they absolutely smash it on this. And Bible, which is by Imperiet, who I've never heard of. I'm guessing they might be a Swedish band, but they put their own spin. That's what I like about Ghost, is they take covers and they put their own spin on them, and they make them their own. And these 4 tracks are no exception to that. It's got a great cover. I've got a Pope Star, because they called it Pope Star. It's a Pope Star EP, and they toured the Pope Star t-shirt somewhere from Manchester or Leeds, one of the two. I saw them twice on that tour, and yeah, great stuff. If you get a chance, I mean, all the stuff that I've shown today you can check out on any of the streaming services, whether it's Spotify, Amazon, or Apple Music. But give it a go. And then finally this. I can't remember how I sort of noticed this. I'd heard of the band, but I'd only heard of them, I'd not heard them. I can't remember whether it might have been Dylan at Noble Records had mentioned it in one of his heavy rotations. But I thought, I can't even remember what site I got it off, but it was the only one they had available, the only record that was in stock of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and it's Gunboat Soup. And when I listened to it, I didn't know anything about the band. I put it on, listened to it, and I thought, wow, yeah, this is like a really cool 60s psychedelic band. But they're not. They've only been around since about 2010, and my God, what a band! So I'll be definitely checking out a lot more. It's a really nice record. It's a Heavenly Recordings, and includes your download sticker in there somewhere, so you can sort of download some extra goodies. I think 11 tracks. They're all quite eclectic, very eclectic. And what's really special about this album is, I'm going to see if I can show you. So I don't know if you can see, but there's no actual run out groove. You see that? Nothing. So you can see it on that side. You can just see it catching the light there. But there isn't one on that side. And do you know why that is? Because very cleverly, and it caught me out, I won't lie, very cleverly they engineered a little skip right at the end of the track. So it skips, but it just keeps, you know, when a record skips and just keeps replaying the same part of the groove over and over again. That's what this does. Absolute utter genius. So technically, it's got an infinite runtime unless you lift it off. So yeah, what a great album. What a great band. If you get a chance, do yourself a favour, check them out. If you like that kind of 60s psychedelic rock, you can't go far wrong with these guys. You kind of take it into a more contemporary direction, but thoroughly recommended. And that concludes our lesson. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Seriously though, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're going to come back for more. I am going to do another video towards the weekend. I'm going to do a little bit of an irregular series called A Noob's Guide to Collecting. So hopefully some of you, I'm sure most of you are all seasoned pros watching this, but some of you that are new to this might find it helpful and help you avoid making some of the pitfalls and avoiding some of the misconceptions that I kind of fell prey to when I first started doing the collecting. If you have come back for more, thank you ever so much for returning. I really appreciate it. If you're brand new and you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button down below and hit the like button, because that would really help me a great deal. And don't forget to tickle the notification bell to make sure that you keep abreast of all new content. And don't forget you can personalise it so you can have all or just the bits that are new. And that's about it really. 48 subscribers, which is really good. I know it's not as much as some. I know a couple of people that start at the same time as me have gone into their thousands. I'm obviously doing something wrong, but those of you that keep coming back, thank you ever so much. I shall see you very soon. Take care, stay safe.